So this video today is just, I recently had a trip to Knox, Indiana to visit my family. Reconnected with my dad after 40 years ish. I have a sister who was born when I was 9 years old that I saw pictures of the little version of myself, my small self, holding this baby that was my sister. And I have no memory of that trip other than that the grass was very brown and a shoe store, because I happen to really love shoes. That happens to be a thing. Anyway, so fell in love with my sister, really want to be in a position to be there for her, particularly now with the things that are playing out in the world. Just one second. Okay, so I had put a video on some time ago that I had said I was exploring trying to accept and come to terms. I'm sorry, just one more second. Okay. Anyway, I'd posted a video some time ago, it might be even 2 months ago now, where I said that I was, really having to come to terms with selling my home and relocating. And it seems that my Christed self has been talking to me. So my higher self, or my true self, little throwback there to Abraham Hicks that a friend recently introduced me to. But my true self has been, feeding me information. I have been aware different times of working in my sleep. I'm not resting well because I'm being schooled in my sleep quite a bit. That's been going on for, where are we in this whole, whatever this incident is? So like nearly 2 years now. There are periods of, 3 days in a row or so where I will be being taught quite a lot in my sleep, or as my body's supposed to be sleeping. And I know that as I'm drifting off to sleep, I am aware that a statement from my mind actually says, show me what I need to know. So before I went on my trip, the day before, I felt like I was going to die. I felt like I had taken the time to mow my grass because I was going to be gone for, nearly a week, and I did not want the grass to get away from me and be ridiculous till I got back. I live in a place where the grass grows very well, effortlessly. So anyway, so I mowed the grass and I was outside walking around my yard, and I was crying, and I was experiencing so many emotions that I had to move my body. So I decided to dance, and I danced barefoot all around the yard and really got out a lot of emotion and cried. And I went through a serious grieving process. And at the time, I thought, okay, this is my ego trying to keep me from this trip, because there's something I'm going to learn from this, some monumental something in this experience that I'm going to come back not the same person. And so I felt like my ego was death clutching to keep me from going. As it turns out, I went on my trip and, spent time with my family. and my son was with me, and my son and I spent time with the family. We were so welcomed and so accepted and so supported while we were there. But at the same time, I was keeping a very open, I'm not even going to say optimistic, but just an open, like a little bit of detachment from myself, the small self, to have the experience and allow it to play out whatever it was going to play out. And I did not know until, so we were there for, I think it was 5 days. Yes, 5 days. And on the 6th day we left, I think. It was not until we were driving back to this place, what I would have called home before, that I realized that I was going to be moving, that I was going to be selling my house and moving, which then this whole experience Saturday before I'd left with the crying and the grieving, I understood. So my true self, my higher self, my Christed self had already informed my smaller self that this was going to take place, and was already preparing me for that. So when I came back, there was no grieving to take there. There was nothing to grieve. I came back with a knowing that this was the next thing, and at this point, and here's what I will say about prophecy or prophecy. So right now, my understanding is that I am moving. That is obvious to me. I am moving, leaving, changing places. Right now, my understanding is that it is to Indiana I will be going. But at the same time, there's a sensation in me that is saying, don't get severely attached to the Indiana thing, and I don't know why. So I don't know if maybe everyone is going to be moving. I don't know. But I'm aware that I'm going to be moving. I'm hearing good things about like Montana. But as of right now, my understanding is I'm going to be moving to Indiana. So, the reason I say this is because I have another foreseeing to share. Now, before I leave this subject about my trip to visit my family in Indiana, today, my son, who is 9 at the time of this recording. Now, there are many things here that I could tell you. There were many synchronicities that occurred while I was on this trip. So there were many repeating numbers and incidences that told me, yes, 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 there's definitely the universe is working here. There's something going on. And that I was right where I needed to be. That I knew that before I even left. So even with the grieving that I was experiencing the day before I left, it did not and would not have swayed me from taking that trip, because I knew that was something I had to do. I just had to. That had to go that way. And so what was going to transpire from it, I did not know. But what I did know was I had to go. Okay. So today I said to my son, who is 9, I said, you know, buddy, it's really strange that you're really excited to move to Indiana. Now, in Indiana, I have a nephew who is 1 year older than my son, and they got on very well. And so he can't wait to be with his cousin again already. But I said, you know, when I was little and I had to change schools, I didn't want to. I really hated the idea. And he said, why, Mom? And I said, I didn't want to leave my friends. So I said, I I find it very interesting that you are so keen on this move. And he said, yeah, but they're family. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I will miss my friends. He said, but I'd rather have family than friends. And I thought that was really interesting. Why that leads me into this foreseeing I'm going to share with you. October of last year, I left the salon where I had been working for many years to do something totally different. Still in the field of beauty. I bought a 27-foot travel trailer and converted it into a salon and spa unit because it sounds like I have a cricket in here with me. He's so close. He's really loud. He's probably right outside. Here, I'll flip this around. Okay, so this is my reflection in my patio door. So I've got 2 patio doors here. So right out there is my balcony. Look at all these books. How crazy is that? Like my whole desk is just a cluttered mess right now. But okay, so anyway, we'll come back to this. Okay, so let me regroup my thoughts. Okay, so in October, I left that salon. We had been, so the COVID shutdowns had happened and we were not able to go in. The salon was closed. And I had people contacting me that, really wanted to have services done, were really, really anxious about, their gray roots coming in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And at that point, so I asked a question, and within a couple of days, I was told that I needed to get a travel trailer and I needed to create a salon and spa space in it. And I was like, okay. So that's what I did. I was able to tow this thing around. So I towed it from location to location, sometimes 3 locations a day, to my clients' homes or a location that was convenient for them. And I had a generator that supplied power. It has its own water tank, and I had to fill the water tank every day before I'd head out, and I had to drain it, and okay, so all these things. But it was a great experience, and I had never done anything like that before. I got some construction experience, probably not great, but thanks to YouTube, I now know how to work power tools. And so I took this travel trailer that had some water damage, not terrible, and it was old, so there was no mildew or muster because I'm allergic to all that stuff. So anyway, had to tear a lot of it out and put something back in its place. Anyway, modified this thing to a salon and spa space, and that was really fun. But prior to leaving the salon, a client, one of the other stylist clients, had brought in with her. Now, this was when we reopened after the shutdowns. We shut down, we reopened in, when did we reopen? Like June, okay? She brought her baby in, who was an infant in an infant seat that sat on the floor, and she was in the styling chair with hair color on. And I was walking around the salon because, the first 2 weeks after we reopened, we were very, very busy. And then after that, not so much, because people were still scared. A lot of people were still too afraid to come out, which was why I was able to have such a successful go at using this travel trailer in the beginning, okay? Because my clients were fearful of being in proximity with other people. And we had a salon that had several stylists, okay? More than 6. And then you add clients on top of that. And a lot of my clients looked like, while they were sitting in my chair after we reopened, they looked like a cat that you're about to put underwater or in water. They were very fearful, and I had a hard time with that, seeing their fear. But up until then, so here's this incident. Baby is in the seat, in the baby seat, infant seat, on the floor, and I'm walking around the salon to keep myself busy. And I looked at this baby in this seat, and I asked the question, what is the world going to look like when this child is ready to start school? And as soon as the thought completed itself in my mind, I was shown. Now we're talking like 5 years from then, which was last year. I was shown a world that was like a garden planet. Now maybe that just means that's where I'm going to be, right? Or the experience I'm going to have, but everything was green. Everything was green. It was lush. I saw students sitting on the ground outside being taught by a teacher. And they were in like a U-shaped, like kind of like a circle, and the teacher, but almost like a horseshoe. And the teacher was there, and they were all teaching, and the instructor was teaching, the students were paying attention, they were interacting. There was a feeling of peace and harmony and quiet stillness that even where I live in the country is hard to feel. So I was shown that. Since that time, many other impressions have come to me in conversation with clients and friends, that communities are going to crop up all across the US even. I'm sure it will happen elsewhere too. But communities will crop up, and it's going to be much more centralized. So we're going to have, so the hospitals, the big hospitals, that's going to be a thing of the past. We're going to have healing centers, which are going to be like right now, the outdoor shopping plazas. So not an indoor mall, but like where you have to actually walk outside to get from one store to the next. But you're going to have things like, you're going to have a healing center, which is going to be a place where you would go for holistic healing. You might have an energy worker in there, a massage therapist in there. So there may be different rooms inside that center that serve different functions and different people working in there. And then next to it, you might have a gym. And then next to that, you may have a place where you can buy all of your essential oils, or, your not prescription, but your maintenance products that you need to sustain your health. And all of these things would be set up in a type of plaza setting. So I have seen this. And what else I have seen is that people will be moving geographically because they will just naturally gravitate towards the other people that are similar to them. And why I say that is because in conversation with my clients now, who I have told that I plan to move, I said, listen, I love my clients who are like-minded and on the same page and feel similarly, who think similarly, who see things in a similar fashion, or at least are receptive to that, okay? I love them, I resonate with them, but there just aren't that many of them here for me to sustain my income long term. If I stayed here, if I was impressed to stay here, I would likely attract those people for sure. But because I am impressed to go somewhere else, the only thing that makes sense to me is that those people are already in that area. And so what I think we're going to find is we're going to have communities that crop up because people are just attracted to the people that are on the same energetic frequency or close to it as they are. Relationships, the same thing. We saw this during the shutdowns and the isolation, that romantic relationships family relationships, a lot of these things became very strained because we were spending a lot of time together without a whole lot of exterior distraction, and adding to that the stress of imminent doom. Okay. So there have been a lot of energetic shifts, and those energies are going to continue to play out. But the frequency, wherever you are on the energetic plane of frequency, you're going to want to follow the path of least resistance, that is that energetic match or closest match to you. And I think that is what is going to begin to be seen a lot more. People who want to get out of the cities, people who, you know, whatever the situation is. I live in a beautiful place. I live in the country. Most of my neighbors are, so here's what I see, okay? I see communities popping up that are going to be very much like the Amish communities and the Mennonite communities, except they won't be Amish and Mennonite. They will be bonded, instead of by a religious order, they will be bonded by an energetic frequency, an energetic resonance. That's what I mean by that. So, and it'll be interesting because then we will have to have a type of mediator, someone from the individual communities that can commune and can hold company with other people, representatives maybe of those communities, so that we can all work as a collective to benefit each other, but maybe not necessarily have to deal with each other on a daily basis. Yeah. So, because that's going to be harmonious for us, at least during that interim of when those energies are still shifting. I think eventually there will come a time, eventually, when we're all going to be on a very, very similar energetic resonance. And then there will be peace and harmony across this planet. I just think there will be a transition period that we are just now in the beginnings of, that will maybe cause the need for us to be somewhat separated from each other and in these smaller communities until the frequencies balance better. That way we're not agitating each other while we're vibrating at these different energy levels. Not good, not bad, just different, okay? Till we all kind of get on the same level, which I foresee as imminent. It has to happen. But it's not going to be tomorrow. So during that time, when we're all learning how to regroup, restructure, get along in a new way, I think that's what's going to happen. We're just kind of going to separate out, not totally in isolation, but we're going to separate out and commune with, in these communities, with people that are very, very similar to where we are energetically. Honestly, that way we don't kill each other until things kind of mellow out. And that is the natural way. That is like a natural order of things. That's how things naturally happen. It's when we start trying to hijack a divine path and turn it into something that is ours. You know, there are universal laws in place that work really, really well. And sometimes we try to stick our fingers where they just don't belong, and more harm than good comes of it. So if you're watching this video and you are feeling pulled to move, you are feeling the desire to be somewhere else, know that you are not alone. Know that, well, it is my impression that this is going to occur to a lot of people. Those of us who, some will take this offensively, but as we awaken, we will start to pay more attention, and we will honor those guidance systems, those guidance they're not red flags, but they are flags. So the blinking lights that are telling us something, we're going to start to pay attention to those, and we're going to start to integrate that into our being. So as we do that, we're just going to drift with them on an energetic flow or wave. And so as we awaken, those other systems are coming online. As the other senses return to us, because we've had them. They were never gone. They have been stifled. They have been stifled. They have been masked. They have been, really dehydrated out of us. But they're still there. We just have to remember them. And that's the awakening. As we remember them and start to honor them, and honor in the sense of acknowledge, allow, and to actually listen to them. Meaning that if it says run, you run. If it says stay, you stay. If it says love, you love. When we start to do that, we exercise those muscles that have atrophied. And that's just a label, but I think you'll understand what I'm saying. So these senses that have been stifled are coming back online. And as that happens, we will be guided through feelings to be and do and in a new way. It's going to take the place of what we would call the logical mind. Anyway, so that is just an update. I know that was long-winded. I'm really sorry. But this is what is going on, and this is what I see very, very soon coming to pass, because that's what I'm experiencing, and we are not alone. We are a collective consciousness, and if I'm experiencing it, it is happening for others, or will be. And so, in peace and love, may you be blessed.